When it comes to Castlevania and RWBY fanfictions, there aren't a lot of good ones, so to say. Sure, there are some that are decent at best, some that are just straight up smut. Then again, that's most fanfictions. But there are rarely few that actually colorfully intertwine the lore of Castlevania and the lore of RWBY so well. And this is where Critical Darling comes into play. Critical Darling has made a wonderful 3-book series and even a continuation into his own little universe, with Count Dracula of the Castlevania animated series. Well, yes, we could ascertain from the games as well, this one is primarily an animated series version of Castlevania universe. And I believe that he's going to be using a lot of what is shown in the show itself, and even more. Now, the names of his books are, of course, RWBY Faith, but the 3 books are titled because of the themes they play with. Faith, let me look back again because I keep forgetting. There is RWBY Faith Restored, which is the origin, well, the beginning of the story itself, and kind of talking about Dracula and his interaction in the world of Remnant, starting, of course, from volumes 1 through all the way to what would essentially be the end, before, Faith Reunited, which was happening after the fall of Beacon, and then finally, Faith Damaged, the final book, the one that expands the universe into the continuation story, which of course is the new teacher. Now, he did do a story which was called My Bloody Academia, which was his first attempt at the sequel for it, where it was a young Dracula as a teenager, or at least a child of age, to go to My Hero Academia, but that did not work out, and I did like a few of that, and we will talk about that, as well as The New Teacher. The New Teacher is the sequel to this, and it even plays a lot of hints as to what's going on. There's even a fun little smut book called Dracula's Harem, where Dracula basically builds up a fucking harem, and Willow is... we'll get to that, but I'm not going to spoil much of this book series because I want you guys to go read this yourself. It is legitimately really good. What I will say, of course, are the highlights of it. The big highlight is the story of Dracula and how he became what he is, how Salem is connected to him. And believe me, that final book, the final chapter, was a heart puller. It pulled on my heartstrings really hard, and I loved it. I loved every moment of this, because in the story, not only is there a wicked sex scene with Dracula and Willow, which was so good and so hot that it broke the multiverse to where even the author heard the massive orgasmic scream of Willow. There is, of course, the world building itself, and even the characters who do get turned into vampires, as well as overall improving the RWBY story. I'm not joking on that. Critical Darling took not only the RWBY story and improved upon it, but he also took the Castlevania story and expanded upon it and made it better. Again, these 3 books are legitimately good, and I cannot find a fault with them. The lore behind it's great, the mythology behind it's great, the world building and expanding is great, and Dracula himself as a character, we come to know better. We come to feel for this guy. We come to understand him. And while, yes, the RWBY characters are there, it's primarily about Dracula literally finding his way. Literally, basically coming back to his humanity and having a family again, as well as losing a family. Again, I'm not going to spoil a lot of it or any of it, but you're going to want to read this yourself. Now I hear what you're saying. What other characters from Castlevania do show up? A lot of the core cast. Yes, of course, Carmella shows up, and she hooks up with Glinda because, of course she does. The other core cast members of course, Belmont, the elemental mage, of course, shows up, and even Alucard shows up, and all 3 Again, they do wonderful things. They did get along with the main core cast characters. They have a great time. Again, there is a lot to the RWBY Faith fanfiction books that, again, is just so much, and I want you guys to go read it. And I give this thing a standing ovation, because when I discovered it and found out that the third book was not finished yet, I was reading in anticipation for it. Every time a new chapter came out for the final book, I read the hell out of it. I waited for every single chapter to come out. I waited and waited until that final chapter came, and then I was saddened. Not because I thought the story was going to end, but because the story ended on such a beautiful note. The RWBY Faith series is a series that you need to go check out. And again, it's going to be in the pinned comment down below. Now, I'm not going to pin all 3 books down there. I'm going to pin the first book that I want you guys to go check out. And again, to Critical Darling, you built a wonderful book. You've built a wonderful universe. You have created something that is beyond anything that I've ever seen. And if the corridor, the infinite corridor comes into play, then again, I cannot wait to see where this goes. But till then, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I've been Airsoft Alan. If you want to help support the channel, consider donating to our PayPal down below. If you like the story, or if you've read the story already, let us know down below what you think of it. And till then, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Alan. I will see you, lovely people, in the next media reviews. Till next time, later.